The unexpected request turned to fun. Written by Eberichukwu, Folktale Therapy. I was sitting in the living room with my son, David, when I received an alert of 500,000 naira from my husband. I was surprised, as he had never sent me such a large amount before. I showed it to him when he came into the room. "Babe, I saw the alert," I said. "What's the money for?" "Just keep it for now," he replied. "I'll let you know when I need it." I didn't press the issue further, assuming it was something he would tell me about later. David was busy playing with his toys, and I was grateful for the distraction. A month went by, and I heard nothing about the money. Then, one evening, my husband walked into the living room and asked me to transfer the money back to him. Maybe because he saw me dressed with a new cloth. Though I didn't hesitate, assuming it was urgent. "Did you receive the alert?" I asked after making the transfer. "Yes, I did," he replied. Then, out of the blue, he dropped a bombshell. "What about the interest?" I was taken aback. "What interest? You gave me money to keep for you, and I returned it as requested." "There's no interest." My husband's expression changed, and he started laughing. "You're kidding, right? I expected at least 200,000 naira in interest." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 200,000 naira interest on 500,000 naira in 1 month. That's absurd. My husband chuckled and said, "Well, I guess I was dreaming big." I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. "You can't be serious," I said, still chuckling. He shrugged. "I know it's a lot, but I thought maybe you could have invested it or something." I shook my head, still smiling. "Invested it? In what? The stock market?" "I don't think so." We both ended up laughing about the situation, and I realized that sometimes, humor can diffuse even the most unexpected requests. As we laughed together, I couldn't help but think about how much I loved my husband's sense of humor. It was moments like these that reminded me why I fell in love with him in the first place. After we calmed down, my husband looked at me seriously. "You know, I think I might have been joking about the interest, but I do have a request." My curiosity was piqued. "What is it?" "I want you to start a savings plan for us," he said. "Not just for emergencies, but for our future goals. Maybe we can save up for a house or a vacation." I nodded, intrigued by the idea. "That sounds like a great plan. Let's do it." And just like that, what started as a humorous conversation turned into a meaningful discussion about our financial future. As I looked at my husband, I felt grateful for the laughter and the love we shared. It was moments like these that made our relationship strong and resilient. David, who had been quietly observing our conversation, suddenly piped up. "Mommy, can we get ice cream?" My husband and I exchanged a look, and I smiled. "Why not? It's a special occasion." We all ended up laughing and enjoying our ice cream together, savoring the moment and the love we shared as a family. Family is everything, David said. Mom. Dad. Please always act this drama once in a while, David shouted. Truth may take time, but it never gets lost. Written by Eberichukwu, Folktale Therapy. My name is Neoma, and for 7 years, I was known as the house help in the Okoro mansion. I wasn't called by my name, instead, I was referred to as the help. My duties included cleaning, cooking, and taking care of the daughter, Uju. But every time I looked at Uju, I felt a deep connection. Her laughter, her smile, and her eyes seemed hauntingly familiar. 10 years ago, I gave birth to a baby girl, but she was taken away from me. The hospital staff told me she didn't survive, and I was left with nothing but tears and sorrow. But as I looked at Uju, I couldn't shake off the feeling that she was my daughter. I had been jobless for months when I saw the job advert for a live-in house help. The address was the Okoro mansion, and I remembered the name Okoro from my past. It was the same surname as the doctor who had delivered my baby. But I pushed the thought aside and applied for the job. When I met Uju, I was taken aback by her resemblance to my baby girl. She had the same crescent-shaped birthmark behind her left ear, and her dimples were identical to mine. I tried to brush it off as a coincidence, but the feeling lingered. As the years passed, I took care of Uju, and she grew into a sweet and gentle soul. But her parents, Chief and Mrs. Okoro, were cold and distant. They treated me like a servant, and I was expected to keep my place. One day, Uju fell ill, and I was the one who took care of her. When the doctor said she needed a rare blood transfusion, I volunteered without hesitation. And when the test results showed that my blood was a perfect match, Chief Okoro's expression changed. He knew something, and I could sense it. The truth began to unravel, and soon, the DNA test results confirmed what I had suspected all along: Uju was my daughter. The revelation shook the Okoro family, and Chief Okoro confessed to stealing my baby from the hospital. He had paid the doctor to declare my baby dead, and I had been searching for her ever since. The truth came out in court, and the media scandal that followed was intense. But I didn't care about the attention, I just wanted my daughter back. The court granted me shared custody, and Uju began to live with me part-time. It was a challenging adjustment, but we were learning to bond and heal together. As I looked at Uju, I knew that I had found my daughter, and nothing else mattered. The journey had been long and arduous, but the truth had finally set us free. Truth may take time, but it never gets lost. This quote resonated deeply with me, and I knew that it would inspire others to hold on to hope and never give up on finding the truth. Today, Uju and I are building a new life together. We're learning each other's quirks and habits, and we're forming a bond that will last a lifetime. I know that there will be challenges ahead, but I'm ready to face them head-on. As I look at Uju, I know that she's my daughter, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure she knows she's loved and cherished. The journey may have been long, but the love we share is worth it. They said I wasn't fit to study with their children, because my mother was the school cleaner, but 20 years later. Written by Eberichukwu, Folktale Therapy. My name is Grace, and I grew up in a small village, where opportunities were scarce. My family struggled to make ends meet, and I often had to walk miles to attend school. But I was determined to succeed. I studied hard, and my efforts paid off when I earned a scholarship to attend a prestigious university. After graduating, I started working as a teacher in a local school. I saw the same challenges that I had faced reflected in the eyes of my students, and I knew that I had to do something to help. I started a non-profit organization that provided educational support to disadvantaged children. We offered scholarships, mentorship, and vocational training, and slowly but surely, we began to see results. Years later, I received an invitation from my former school to return and give a speech. As I stood before the assembly, I saw many familiar faces, including my former principal. He looked older, but his expression remained stern. I spoke to the students about perseverance, hard work, and the importance of education. I shared my story, and many of them were inspired by my journey. Though I noticed that as I stood before the assembly, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. I had come a long way from the small village where I grew up, and now I was back, inspiring a new generation of students. My speech was met with enthusiasm and applause, and I could see the fire of determination ignite in the eyes of my young audience. After the speech, the principal's offer to take over as headmistress was a surprise, but I knew it was an opportunity I couldn't miss. I threw myself into the role, working tirelessly to implement new programs and initiatives that would benefit my students and the community. One of the first changes I made was to introduce a mentorship program, where my students would be paired with successful professionals in the desired fields. I also established partnerships with local businesses to provide vocational training and internship opportunities. As the school began to thrive, my nonprofit organization continued to grow and make an impact in the community. I was able to provide scholarships to more students, and my organization became a beacon of hope for those who thought they didn't have a chance. My journey was not without its challenges, but I persevered, knowing that I was making a difference. I became a source of inspiration for my students, and my story motivated them to work hard and pursue their dreams. Years later, my school was recognized as one of the top-performing schools in the region, and my nonprofit organization had helped countless students achieve the goals. I had truly come full circle, and my journey was a testament to the power of determination and hard work. I took the hard road, but it led me to a place of dignity and purpose. Written by Eberichukwu, Folktale Therapy. My name is Vivian, and at 20, I was in love with Nnamdi. He was charming, handsome, and promised me the world. But when I got pregnant, he disappeared. His family disowned him, and I was left to fend for myself. I struggled to make ends meet, selling goods at the market and working odd jobs to provide for my son, Ikenna. Despite the challenges, I ensured Ikenna received a good education, and he grew into a brilliant and kind young man. Years passed, and I built a successful catering business. I became known for my delicious dishes and warm hospitality. One day, I received a call to cater a high society wedding. As I arrived at the venue, I saw Namdi and his wife. He looked older, but his arrogance remained. The bride, their daughter, was beautiful and kind. She thanked me for the food, and I smiled, knowing that she had no idea that her father had abandoned me and our son. As the evening progressed, Namdi approached me. "Vivian," he said, his voice uncertain. "Is that you?" I looked up, smiled calmly, and said, "Long time." He seemed taken aback by my composure. "I didn't expect you to do so well," he said. I laughed lightly. "I didn't expect to be serving food at your daughter's wedding either," I replied. He looked at me with a mix of guilt and admiration. "I'm sorry," he said. "About everything." I nodded. "I forgave you years ago. You gave me Ikenna, and he's the best thing that's ever happened to me." He paused, then asked, "Can I see him?" I looked him dead in the eye and said, "He's not a trophy to be displayed after 12 years. He's a successful young man, and he's doing just fine without you." Then I walked away, feeling a sense of closure and triumph. I had built a life, raised a wonderful son, and proved to myself that I was capable of overcoming any obstacle. As I walked away from Namdi, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. I had spent years rebuilding my life, focusing on my catering business, and raising Ikenna to be a kind and compassionate person. As I drove home, I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this moment. My thoughts drifted back to the early days, when I had struggled to make ends meet. I remembered the countless nights I'd spent worrying about how to pay the bills, how to put food on the table, and how to give Ikenna the best possible life. But I also remembered the small victories, the moments of joy that had sustained me through the darkest times. When I arrived home, Ikenna was waiting for me, eager to hear about the wedding. I smiled, feeling grateful for the loving relationship they shared. "It was a beautiful wedding, sweetie," I said. "But the best part is that we're doing well, and that's all that matters." Ikenna nodded, understanding the importance of family and relationships. "I'm glad we're doing well, Mom," he said. "You're an amazing woman, and I'm proud of you." My heart swelled with pride and love for my son. I knew that I had done something right, that I had raised Ikenna to be a good person. As we hugged each other tightly, I felt a sense of peace wash over her. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I had finally found closure. I had faced Namdi, and I had come out on top. I realized that I didn't need his validation or approval. She had been building a life of her own, one that was filled with purpose and dignity. As I looked to the future, I knew that I would continue to face challenges. But I was ready. I had learned to be strong, to be resilient, and to find joy in the simple things. And with Ikenna by my side, I knew that I could overcome anything. The next morning, Ikenna came looking at me with sense of pity. Maybe because of what I've passed through seeing him through in life. I said, "My son, never mind, I'm good, we are good, God is also good." Ikenna nodded, and we hugged each other tightly. We had been through a lot together, but we had come out stronger on the other side. As I looked at my son, I knew that I had done something right. I had raised him to be a kind and compassionate person, and he would make a difference in the world. And as for Nnamdi, he was just a footnote in our story. A reminder of the past, but not a defining factor in our present or future. I took the hard road, but it led me to a place of dignity and purpose. This quote resonated deeply with me, and I knew that it would inspire others to hold on to hope and never give up on the dreams. The truth was unveiled when the adopted daughter met a stranger. Written by Eberichukwu, Folktale Therapy. My name is Adiz, and I grew up in a world where my existence was a secret. I was told I was the daughter of a housemaid, a mere servant in the household of Chief Uzochukwu. I was treated like a shadow, always in the background, never good enough. But the truth was hidden, buried deep beneath the surface. Until one day, a stranger arrived with a revelation that changed everything. I was 25 when I met Dr. Nwosu, a kind-hearted doctor who noticed something peculiar about me. He asked me about my family history, and I shared what I knew. He listened intently, his eyes filled with compassion. A few days later, he called me to his office, his voice trembling with excitement. "Adiz, I have something important to tell you," he said. He showed me a file, filled with documents and photographs. "You're not who you think you are," he said gently. The truth was staggering. I was the biological child of Chief Uzochukwu, born out of wedlock. My mother, a young woman named Nena, had been in a relationship with him, but she was forced to give me up. The DNA test confirmed it. I was the chief's daughter, and I had a right to my inheritance. I confronted the family, and they were shocked, ashamed, and apologetic. But I didn't need their apologies. I needed the truth, and I needed justice. With the help of Dr. Nwosu and a lawyer, I fought for my rights and my inheritance. It wasn't easy, but I persevered. The journey was long and arduous, but I was determined to uncover the truth and claim my rightful place. I faced many challenges along the way, but I refused to give up. As I navigated the complex web of family dynamics and legal battles, I discovered more about my mother's past and her relationship with Chief Uzochukwu. It was a complicated and painful history, but it was also a testament to the strength and resilience of my mother. In the end, justice prevailed, and I was recognized as the chief's daughter. I was welcomed into the family, and I began to build a relationship with my newfound relatives. But my journey didn't end there. I realized that there were many others like me, young women who had been abandoned or silenced. I decided to use my experience to help others, and I started a foundation to support women in similar situations. Through my foundation, I provided support and resources to women who had been marginalized or oppressed. I helped them find their voice and claim their rights. And I became a symbol of hope and resilience for many. As I looked back on my journey, I realized that the truth had set me free. I was no longer a shadow, no longer a secret. I was a daughter, a woman, and a force to be reckoned with. I was hidden, but now I'm revealed. I'm a daughter, a woman, and a force to be reckoned with. This quote resonated deeply with me, and I knew it would inspire others to find their strength and voice. I had finally found my place in the world, and I was determined to make the most of it. I was Adiz, the chief's daughter, and I was proud of who I was. With my newfound identity, I was able to live my life authentically and pursue my passions. I was grateful for the journey, difficult as it was, because it had led me to where I was meant to be. And as I looked to the future, I knew that I would continue to grow and thrive, using my experience to help others and make a positive impact on the world. The unveiling of the truth had changed my life forever, and I was grateful for it. I was no longer living a lie, and I was finally able to be myself. I hoped that my story would inspire others to seek the truth and stand up for their rights. I knew that it wouldn't be easy, but I believed that it was worth it. In the end, the truth had set me free, and I was determined to use my freedom to make a difference. I was Adiz, and I was proud of who I was.